When people ask how to stay motivated, the very first thing they need to understand is that motivation without direction is temporary. It fades as quickly as it comes because feelings were never meant to carry you the whole way. That is why the starting point is always your why. Your why is the root, the anchor, the reason behind every sacrifice, every late night, every early morning, every time you choose discipline over comfort. Without it, you're just moving through life reacting to whatever comes your way. But when you have a why, when you know deep down what you're fighting for, you stop letting excuses dictate your future. You start living with intention. Most people think motivation is about hype, about someone yelling at you to keep going, but that only lasts until life hits back. And life will hit back. There will be mornings when you're tired, when you don't want to move, when quitting feels easier than trying again. In those moments, if you don't know why you started, if you don't have a reason that burns in your chest, you'll fold. But if your why is strong enough, it will pull you out of bed when your body doesn't want to move. It will silence the doubts that creep in your mind. It will remind you of the bigger picture when the struggle feels overwhelming. Think about it. Athletes don't train for years, push their bodies to the limit, and sacrifice their social lives just because they feel like it. They do it because there's a deeper reason, a championship, a legacy, the love of the game, the people who believed in them when no one else did. That's their why. Parents don't work 2 jobs, skip vacations, and push through exhaustion simply because they enjoy struggle. They do it because they want to create a better future for their children, because they refuse to see their families live in the same cycle of lack they grew up in. That's their why. Your why doesn't have to look like anyone else's, but it has to matter to you. It has to be personal, it has to be real, and it has to be so important that no obstacle can convince you to quit. Maybe your why is breaking generational curses. Maybe it's proving to yourself that you're more than the labels people put on you. Maybe it's making sure your family never has to worry about bills again. Or maybe it's as simple as not wanting to live a life of regret, knowing you wasted your potential. Whatever it is, you need to identify it and you need to remind yourself of it daily. Because here's the truth. The journey is long. The process is not glamorous. There will be days where nothing seems to move, where progress feels invisible. That's when your why has to step in. It becomes your fuel when motivation feels empty. It's what pushes you to keep studying when everyone else is sleeping. It's what forces you to train harder when you're already tired. It's what reminds you that quitting will cost you more than perseverance ever will. And when that why is locked inside your heart, something shifts. You stop looking for shortcuts. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop letting temporary feelings make permanent decisions. Instead, you rise each day with purpose. You start to understand that motivation is not just about energy, it's about alignment. It's about aligning your actions with that deep reason that keeps you awake at night. That's when you become unstoppable. So if you really want to stay motivated, don't just chase the hype. Don't rely on someone else's words to keep you moving. Find your why. Write it down. Speak it into existence every morning. Let it be the reason you push past distractions, the reason you sacrifice comfort, the reason you refuse to quit. Because once your why is strong enough, nothing, not pain, not doubt, not failure, can stop you from reaching where you were meant to go. The truth about motivation is that it will not always be there. Motivation is like a spark. It can ignite the fire, but it won't keep it burning. What keeps the fire alive is discipline. Too many people wait until they feel like it before they act, and that's the exact reason why they never see results. If you rely on your emotions to dictate your actions, then your life will always be inconsistent, because emotions are temporary. Some days you'll wake up feeling unstoppable, ready to conquer the world. Other days you'll wake up tired, stressed, or simply uninterested. If you only move when you feel good, you'll never build the consistency required to achieve greatness. Discipline is choosing to show up no matter how you feel, because you understand that consistency is the real difference maker. Discipline means you wake up when the alarm rings, even if your body begs you for another hour. Discipline means you put in the work when nobody's watching, when there's no applause, when nobody is there to cheer you on. Discipline is not glamorous and it doesn't always feel good, but discipline pays off in ways motivation never can. It is the daily repetition of small actions performed faithfully that eventually create extraordinary results. You can't get in shape by going to the gym only on the days you feel motivated. You can't build a business by working hard only when inspiration hits. And you can't build character by only doing the right thing when it's convenient. Discipline is the bridge that carries you from where you are to where you want to be. Think about all the people who start strong but fade quickly. They get motivated, they write down goals, they make promises to themselves, but weeks later, that motivation dies out. Why? Because they never learned how to operate without feelings. The most successful people in the world don't wait to feel like it. They train themselves to act regardless of mood. They understand that discipline will eventually produce the feeling, not the other way around. The runner doesn't always want to lace up his shoes, but once he starts moving, the energy comes. The student doesn't always want to open the book, but once she begins studying, focus follows. Discipline creates momentum, and momentum feeds motivation. You have to start thinking about discipline as a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. At first it's hard. At first your mind will resist, your body will complain, and you'll feel like giving up. But every time you push through, every time you choose action over excuse, you're building that muscle. Eventually, discipline becomes a lifestyle. It becomes part of who you are. You stop needing to argue with yourself about whether you'll do it. You just do it because that's your standard. This is why discipline is more powerful than motivation. Motivation will have you excited for a day. Discipline will keep you grinding for a lifetime. Motivation will make you start a project. Discipline will make you finish it. Motivation will push you to dream. Discipline will make that dream a reality. You can't rely on your feelings to decide your future because feelings are inconsistent. But discipline, once mastered, is reliable. It doesn't matter if it's raining, if you're tired, if you had a bad day. Discipline shows up every single time. And here's the secret. When you become disciplined, you actually create more freedom in your life. People think discipline is about restriction, but in reality, it's about control. When you're disciplined, you control your time, your habits, and your results. You're no longer a slave to laziness, procrastination, or moods. You're in charge. That's why disciplined people achieve more in months than others achieve in years. They don't wait for the perfect moment. They act and make the moment perfect. So if you want to stay motivated, stop depending on how you feel. Train yourself to be disciplined. Show up when you're tired. Do the work when nobody's clapping. Keep your promises to yourself even when no one else will know. Because the truth is your feelings can lie to you, but discipline will never betray you. Discipline will always deliver the future you deserve. The people you surround yourself with will either fuel your fire or put it out. Motivation does not exist in isolation. It is influenced by the environment you live in, the conversations you hear daily, and the energy you allow into your space. You can be motivated, disciplined, and ready to move forward. But if the circle around you is negative, if they constantly speak doubt, if they are satisfied with average, it will only be a matter of time before that mindset rubs off on you. Energy is contagious. If you sit around 5 people who complain all day, you will become the 6th. If you surround yourself with 5 people who are driven, hungry, and relentless, you will rise to their level. That is why who you allow into your life matters as much as the goals you set for yourself. Too many people stay stuck because they refuse to let go of relationships that no longer serve them. They are afraid to outgrow their circle, so they shrink their dreams to fit in. But here's the reality. Your circle should stretch you, not limit you. If you're the hardest worker in your group, you need a new group. If you're the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room. Growth requires challenge, and challenge comes from people who are already where you want to be or who are fighting just as hard as you are. That kind of energy pushes you to do more, to expect more from yourself, to stop making excuses and rise to the standard around you. Think about champions. No athlete becomes great by training with people who don't care. They seek out teammates and coaches who demand excellence. They practice in environments where the standard is so high that anything less than full effort feels like failure. That pressure might feel uncomfortable, but it produces greatness. The same is true in life. If you want to stay motivated, you must keep people around you who won't let you settle, people who call you out when you slack, people who remind you of your goals when you start drifting, people who see the greatness in you even when you doubt yourself. But let's be clear, not everyone will clap for you. Some people will be intimidated by your ambition. Some will discourage you, not because you can't do it, but because they can't see themselves doing it. That's why you can't share your dreams with everyone. Some will try to plant doubt in your mind, not out of concern, but out of fear that you'll leave them behind. You have to protect your energy. You have to set boundaries because your motivation is too valuable to waste on conversations that drain you. Surround yourself with believers, dreamers, and doers, and you will find that motivation multiplies. The right energy doesn't just come from people, it comes from what you consume. The books you read, the videos you watch, the podcasts you listen to, the music you feed your mind, all of it matters. If you fill your day with negativity, gossip, and distractions, your motivation will die quickly. But if you flood your mind with growth, with wisdom, with stories of resilience and success, your mindset will stay sharp. Every single day you have a choice to either fuel your fire or pour water on it. And don't forget, your energy matters too. You're not just influenced by your circle, you influence them as well. Be the person who brings light into the room. Be the one who encourages, who lifts others up, who speaks vision into existence. When you commit to being a source of positive energy, not only do you keep yourself motivated, but you also create an atmosphere where others can grow. That cycle of support is powerful. So if you want to stay motivated, examine your environment. Ask yourself, are the people around me pushing me forward or pulling me backward? Are my conversations about growth or about gossip? Am I surrounding myself with people who believe in possibilities or with people who only see limitations? Your answers will tell you why you feel stuck or why you feel unstoppable. Protect your circle, protect your energy. Because the right environment will remind you of your potential when you forget. It will challenge you when you feel lazy, and it will keep your motivation alive when life tries to dim your fire. Dreams are powerful, but dreams without structure are just wishes. Everybody loves to talk about their big goals, owning a business, becoming successful, changing their life, but very few people set daily standards that match those dreams. And that's why motivation doesn't last for most people. Motivation feels strong when you set a goal, but it quickly fades when you realize the journey is long and the results don't come overnight. What keeps motivation alive is not just focusing on the finish line, but building a lifestyle of discipline and accountability every single day. Think about it. You can set a goal to run a marathon, but if you don't commit to running every morning, if you don't set standards for training, for diet, for rest, that marathon will remain a dream. You could talk about wanting to build wealth, but if you don't have daily standards of saving, investing, learning, and executing, your financial goals will stay on paper. Success doesn't come from doing big things once in a while. It comes from doing the small things every single day until they add up to something big. The truth is, it's easier to dream than it is to commit to daily action. Talking about the end result gives you a rush of excitement. Saying, I'm going to be successful, feels good in the moment. But when it's 5 a.m. and the alarm goes off, when you've got to sacrifice sleep, comfort, and distractions, that's when you find out if you're really serious. Motivation grows when your actions align with your goals, when you prove to yourself day after day that you're not just talking, you're working. Setting daily standards is about creating non-negotiables in your life. Non-negotiables are the habits and actions you commit to no matter what. Maybe it's waking up early, maybe it's exercising, maybe it's reading every night, working on your craft, or practicing your skills. These standards don't change based on your feelings, your mood, or your circumstances. They are promises you keep to yourself. And when you consistently meet those standards, your confidence grows. That confidence fuels motivation because you see proof that you're moving closer to your dream. Daily standards also keep you focused. Big goals can sometimes feel overwhelming. You look at how far you have to go and you get discouraged. But when you break it down into daily actions, it becomes manageable. You don't have to conquer the entire mountain today. You just have to take the next step. And if you take enough steps consistently, one day you'll look back and realize you've climbed farther than you ever thought possible. The difference between people who talk about success and people who live it is that successful people fall in love with the process, not just the outcome. They don't just celebrate when they reach the finish line. They find pride in the daily grind. They value practice as much as performance. They don't wait for motivation to magically appear. They create it by living up to their standards every day. That's how they build momentum. And momentum is the secret to staying motivated long term. You can't cheat the process. You can't expect results without consistency. That's why daily standards matter so much. They create structure. They build habits. They turn dreams into reality. Every time you wake up early, every time you follow your plan, every time you choose discipline over excuses, you're proving to yourself that your dream is not just talk, it's real, and you're committed to it. That consistency builds trust in yourself. And once you trust yourself, motivation no longer feels like a struggle. So if you want to stay motivated, stop obsessing over the big picture alone. Break it down. Set daily standards that force you to act in alignment with your goals. Keep promises to yourself every single day. Because the truth is, success doesn't come from what you occasionally do. It comes from what you consistently do. And when your daily actions line up with your vision, there's no limit to how far you can go. Pain is something none of us can escape. Life will test you. It will knock you down, sometimes harder than you thought possible. You'll face setbacks, heartbreaks, disappointments, and failures. And in those moments, motivation feels like the last thing on your mind. But the truth is, pain can either break you or build you. It can drain your energy and leave you stuck, or it can light a fire inside you that pushes you to places you never thought you could reach. The difference comes down to how you choose to respond. You don't get to decide whether or not pain shows up in your life, but you do get to decide whether you let it define you or drive you. The people who accomplish great things are not the ones who never felt pain. They are the ones who learn how to turn pain into power. They learned how to take heartbreak and use it as motivation. They took rejection and turned it into fuel. They took failure and turned it into wisdom. Pain becomes a powerful teacher when you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger? Every scar you carry tells a story. And if you use it right, that story becomes your strength. Think about the people you admire most. Their stories aren't smooth or easy. They didn't get where they are by coasting through life without struggles. They fought battles, they endured losses, they faced rejection after rejection. But instead of letting those moments destroy them, they transformed that pain into energy. They let it sharpen their hunger, their discipline, their determination. That's why they stand out. Pain became the very reason they kept going when everyone else quit. The truth is, you can find energy in pain if you choose to see it differently. When life knocks you down, instead of staying there, use the frustration as fuel. Tell yourself, I refuse to let this setback be the end of my story. Every time you've been doubted, every time someone said you weren't good enough, every time life seemed unfair, that's fire for your engine. Instead of letting it make you bitter, let it make you better. Instead of carrying it like a burden, carry it like a weapon. Some of you are waiting for life to get easier, waiting for the struggles to stop. But the struggles are what make you strong. Without resistance, there's no growth. Just like lifting weights, the heavier the weight, the stronger you become. The same is true in life. The challenges you're facing right now are preparing you for the level you've been praying for. The pain is shaping you, molding you, building the character you need for the future you're chasing. That's why you can't run from it and you can't let it break you. Motivation rooted in comfort doesn't last, but motivation rooted in pain is unshakable. When you've been through storms and survived, when you've cried at night but still got up in the morning, when you've tasted failure but refused to quit, you develop a strength that no easy path could ever give you. Pain teaches you resilience. Pain teaches you focus. Pain teaches you gratitude. It teaches you how to fight for what matters. And when you finally succeed, when you finally look back, you'll realize the very pain you thought was meant to destroy you was actually the thing that built you. It gave you the edge, the hunger, the perseverance that kept you moving forward. That's why you can't waste your pain. Don't just endure it, use it. Don't just survive it, transform it. Let it be the fuel that pushes you past your limits and into the life you've been dreaming of. So if you want to stay motivated, don't curse the pain. Embrace it. Let it sharpen you. Let it remind you of why you started. Let it fuel you until your greatest struggles become the foundation of your greatest victories. One of the biggest reasons people lose motivation is because they only measure success by the finish line. They set huge goals, and until those goals are fully achieved, they feel like they haven't accomplished anything. But that mindset kills momentum. Motivation is not sustained by waiting years for one big win. It's sustained by celebrating the progress you make along the way. Every step forward, every small victory, every sign of growth is proof that you're on the right path. And when you recognize and honor that progress, it gives you the energy to keep pushing toward the bigger vision. Think about how discouraging it feels when you work for weeks or months without stopping to acknowledge how far you've come. You start to convince yourself that nothing is happening, that your effort isn't making a difference. But the truth is, success is built brick by brick, and you can't wait until the entire house is finished before you celebrate. You need to appreciate each brick you lay. The small wins matter because they compound into big wins. Celebrating progress doesn't mean you've settled or that you're satisfied with being halfway there. It means you're fueling your spirit so you don't burn out. It means you're giving yourself permission to feel proud of the fact that you're moving forward when so many others gave up. Too often people discredit themselves because they're not there yet. But what they forget is that staying consistent, showing up daily and refusing to quit, that's already a victory. That's already success in motion. The truth is the journey is long. And if you don't find joy in the process, you won't last. Big goals often take years to achieve, but if you only allow yourself to feel accomplished at the very end, you'll spend most of your life feeling like you're losing. That's why you have to reframe success. Success isn't just the end result. It's every single milestone you hit along the way. Lost 5 pounds on the way to your fitness goal. Celebrate it. Save your first $100 on the way to financial freedom. Celebrate it. Finish reading that book that grew your mindset. Celebrate it. Every single small victory is proof that you're moving and that momentum keeps you alive. When you acknowledge progress, you also build confidence. You remind yourself that you are capable of growth, capable of improvement, capable of change. That confidence strengthens your belief, and belief is the foundation of motivation. When you see results, no matter how small, you remind yourself that your effort matters, and that makes it easier to stay locked in. On the other hand, when you ignore your progress, you create a false sense of failure, even when you're actually winning. This is why gratitude is so important in the process. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you don't have to what you've already gained. It keeps you motivated because it reminds you that even though you're not at the finish line yet, you're not where you started either. Too many people miss this truth. They're so focused on the destination that they never enjoy the journey. But staying motivated requires joy in the journey. Motivation can't survive in a mindset that only sees lack. It thrives in a mindset that sees growth. And remember this, celebrating progress doesn't mean stopping. It doesn't mean you relax and settle. It means you recharge so you can go further. It means you build momentum so you can keep stacking wins on top of each other until the big dream is finally in front of you. Progress is what keeps the fire burning. Progress is what makes the grind worth it. Progress is what proves to you that the sacrifices are paying off. So if you truly want to stay motivated, don't wait till you cross the finish line to give yourself credit. Celebrate the steps. Celebrate the growth. Celebrate the moments where you chose discipline over excuses. Because in the end, those small wins are not just part of the journey, they are the journey. And when you honor your progress, you'll have the strength and motivation to keep going until you reach everything you've been working for.